my God, it's a bird! It's a plane! It's a man in a red bath towel.
I know. This is a Batman shirt. I'm sorry, I don't own a Superman shirt. This is the best I could do.
Fuck this shit.
Where I come from, this is a symbol. It means hope. Actually, it just means Batman. Now let's jump into the movie review. So I'm not gonna bore you too long with the synopsis of Man of Steel. Basically, there's a man on a planet played by Russell Crowe. He wants to save his newborn son. This planet is doomed. It's going to be destroyed. He shoots his newborn son off into space to land on Earth to become more than a man. He becomes Superman. And there's one man back on Krypton who doesn't like that plan. His name's General Zod, and he catches up to Superman years later, and they have a conflict of interest, to say the least. So Man of Steel, it was my most anticipated movie of the summer. This movie's directed by Zack Snyder. Now, Zack Snyder, overall, that guy knows how to do visual movies. I mean, 300, Watchmen, the guy never lets you down visually. Now, if you let the guy write his own script, things get a little bit messy. But you know what? This movie had Christopher Nolan acting as a producer. It had David S. Goyer, who helped to write the Dark Knight trilogy. So overall, this movie was in good hands. Now, when you look back at Zack Snyder's other movies, they all kind of have their own visual style. I mean, overall, the guy really likes to get into the action with slow-mos and do a lot of camera work that really gets up close. He really gave Man of Steel its own visual style that I thought was perfect for this movie. It really set the tone. Now, this movie is an origin story. It takes you all the way from the birth of Kal-El until he becomes Superman, the guy flying around in the red cape. And the great thing about this movie is it gives you a really good look at Krypton and the way that things work. It really explains the scientific reasons and the way that their society is structured. Yeah, kind of like the way that their social society system's put together. It really gives you some backstory on why characters are like they are, especially with General Zod's character. And we'll talk about General Zod in just a few seconds. Real quick, here's my Michael Shannon impression. I'm General Zod! Now let's talk about the structure of this movie. This is not a linear movie. This movie has a lot of flashbacks that go back to kind of give you a little bit of character development. What I'm talking about is, you know, you'll have Clark Kent when he's an adult, and he'll have a flashback from when he's like a kid, and then he'll have another flashback when he's a teenager. And in my opinion, I really like the way they did that. You know, it kind of reminded me of Batman Begins, the way that was presented to you. You know, you have Bruce Wayne, and he has flashbacks in the well. Actually, technically it was a well, then he sees bats, and that's his whole motivation. Well, that and besides his parents being killed in front of him. And the flashbacks that we get in Man of Steel, in my opinion, I thought they were sufficient. I guess some people could argue that they wanted more of him being a kid, but really, when you look at all the time that they gave you and all the moments, they made it count for what they gave you. And in my opinion, I got enough what I needed. I didn't want to see him being a kid for 30 minutes on the screen. I liked that they interlaced it with the present day Clark Kent and him in the past. So I thought it blended together nicely. Anyway, I thought Kevin Costner did a phenomenal job in this movie. I would say Kevin Costner's performance and Russell Crowe's performance, they're both the father figures of Kal-El. I thought they were both great. You really bought into both their characters, their motivations, and Kevin Costner in this movie. I've always loved Kevin Costner. I even support his early 1990s movie as Robin Hood. You know, where he plays Robin Hood, but he doesn't even attempt to do an English accent. Anyway, there were some really great father-son heartfelt moments that really defined how Superman became the man that he is. And then you have Russell Crowe in this movie who plays Jor-El, who is the biological father of Kal-El, Superman. I thought everything that guy said was just so epic. Every time you hear a narration from Russell Crowe, it just really stands out, and I thought he did a great job. And as far as Henry Cavill's performance in this movie, I really bought into him as Superman. Now, overall, Superman's kind of like this Boy Scout, a little bit stoic at times, but in this movie, you could tell that they were trying to interject some humanity into him. And in this movie, every time he was in that Superman outfit, I was like, that guy's a badass. That's Superman. And when he was also just Clark Kent, the son who lives on a farm, I was like, yeah, I can buy into that too. He's kind of, you know, I buy him as a farmer's son. The one side of him that you don't get a lot of in this movie, I think you're going to get more of it in the sequel, is that bumbling fool of a reporter, a little bit clumsy at times. So this is a comic book movie. It has Superman in it, and what did I want? I wanted some action, damn it, because after watching Superman Returns, which I just call that mopey man. Now listen, I'm sure people are going to have issues with this movie, but I think the one thing that you can never say about this movie is there was not enough action, because every 15 to 20 minutes there was action, and it was well done action. I mean, I really enjoyed the way that it was filmed. Zack Snyder kind of did this very very interesting zoom-in thing whenever Superman would punch somebody or somebody would fly in all of a sudden. It really was an intense style, and also the sound in this movie, it was phenomenal. I watched the movie in IMAX. Maybe that added just a little bit to it, but you know, every time he was flying through buildings or punching people, you just really could feel the impact of what was going on. Now let's talk about the bad guy antagonist of this movie, General Zod, played by Michael Shannon. Now we've seen the character of General Zod in earlier Superman movies, and Michael Shannon's performance as this villainous role, will it stand out forever? I think it was sufficient. I think it was okay. I don't think it was bad by any means. But will it be memorable as, say, Bane or Joker or Hannibal Lecter? Well, maybe not, but every time the guy was on the screen, I was like, yeah, he's giving a pretty good performance. And General Zod in this movie, the thing I really like about General Zod, in this movie especially, is everything that he's doing, there's motivations behind it. There's reasons he's doing it. It's explained in the movie. He's just not some bad guy, oh, I want to kill Superman for the fact I want to kill him. And that's one thing I really enjoyed about this movie, is it gives reasons behind things happening in this movie. You know, it explains things, and it doesn't overly do it. I hate movies that overly explain things. This movie, you know, it gives you a reason. Here you go. Now, I know it sounds like I've been praising this movie, but let's get into some issues I had. And I would say my issues start with the third act of the movie. The first two acts of this movie I thought were phenomenal. You know, very well paced out. You're getting a build up to Superman. You know, things start happening a little too quick. They get a little bit jumbled together, and there's not enough build up. You know, there's all these little plot things unfolding in the third act, but there's not enough build up to really get you your I call it my goosebumps. You know, my goosebumps weren't ready to be built up, and then some badass moment happens where they just blow up. I don't know, what am I describing? I'm describing like some kind of weird thing that would happen on the X-Files. Yeah, to sum it up, in the third act, at one point, there's just too much stuff going on. It's a little bit mind-numbing. You can't really keep up with what's going on, and it really doesn't engage you as a viewer. But really, that is my major complaint with the movie. Just basically 20 minutes of the movie that get a little bit bloated. So my final thoughts on Man of Steel. I think this movie accomplished what it wanted to do. You know, it gave you a Superman that you could kind of relate to. He was a little bit grounded, or as grounded as Superman could be, and still be Superman. Also, the movie had depth to it. When you really break this movie down, the characters, the reasons, the motivations, what was happening in this movie, and did Superman become a better Superman by the end of the movie? Did his character learn something? Did he accomplish something? I would say yeah. I'm going to give Man of Steel an A-. It made me believe in Superman again, and made me believe that a man could fly. Okay guys, so that's my take on Man of Steel. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. My eye itches, hang on, my eye itches. Yeah, so let me know what your thoughts are down below, and in a few more days I'm going to have a fun-filled spoiler video where we talk all about the movie, we break it down, and then we talk about maybe the future of the Justice League movies, including Batman, my personal favorite. So anyway guys, I'll see you in a few more days for that, and if you haven't already, check out my last video where I go down to my basement. It gets a little bit weird, it gets a little bit creepy, and we talk about VHS 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.